Prasad Sivalanka in this exclusive episode titled Data, Decisions and Leadership, the Quiet Engine of Transformation on the Morning Learning Podcast. Warm welcome, Prasad, and good morning. Any welcome words before I share your intro with the audience?
Thanks, Ravi. And, I'm happy to be part of this podcast, and great for me to be here where big shots like Pankaj, Deepak and all were there. So thank you, Ravi, for giving that opportunity.
Most welcome, Prasad. So let's go ahead with a short intro of Prasad for the audience. Prasad has played senior and executive management roles at Infosys, Fargo India, and at HSBC Technology India. He's established delivery units for technology groups like consumer lending, wholesale technology, and enterprise data and analytics. Prasad has led data technology teams with specific focus in areas of data resilience, data modernization, and data provisioning, and fostering collaboration across technology, analytics, and business. He's driven initiatives such as near-time dashboards for metrics governance, regional data communities, data modernization models, innovation and collaboration with startups and academia, and automation of patterns to improve reusability and DevOps adoption. And he's published multiple thought papers in IEEE conferences and 2 patents, actively contributes to the startup ecosystem in Hyderabad, particularly in fintech, and collaborates with local innovation hubs. That's Prasad for you. Now, there's a goal for this particular exclusive podcast. We'll actually explore how data, leadership, and ecosystem thinking converge to shape resilient, future-ready organizations, drawing from Prasad's cross-industry experience in building data platforms, engaging with startups, and nurturing talent. So, Prasad, we've got more than 5 themes. Depending on the time, we'll actually go with the 6th and the 7th theme. We'll start with the first one, where we're trying to capture your journey from delivery head to CTO and leadership evolution. So a couple of questions there. How did your leadership mindset evolve from project management at Infosys to data innovation at HSBC? And the second one is on what prepared you most for the CTO role, technical mastery or people insight?
Thanks, Ravi. You're starting off with the tougher questions. But so if you look at in my journey, first was Infosys, which is a service company. There's a lot of focus on delivery excellence. And so, I grew there from being a delivery developer, then also a modeler of the projects that we do, and then project manager. So that gives a good exposure to what has to be done and how it has to be done. And that gives us a complete delivery excellence on how we are doing it. Now, from there, when I shifted to GCC, that's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Now, what I carry always became a part of it. Not that I don't need delivery excellence. We still need delivery excellence, absolutely. But what switches there is the ownership. In service company, what happens is a client, I work for a client and I make sure that when he asks something, he gets more than what he asked for.
Yeah.
So that's the key thing. Now, when I shift to GCC, I am that client. So I should know what I want and what I need to ask.
Yes.
So that ownership of the application or the solution completely changes the mindset. In once you come into GCC, your domain knowledge is as important as your technical knowledge. It can't go down, because if you don't have the domain knowledge, you don't know what to do with your product.
Yes.
So that's the key thing, and that kind of gave me a lot of insights into how the teams should be run and how the product should evolve.
Yes.
So that's my journey from there, from a pure project management, delivery excellence into the ownership. Now, the ownership also triggers me to think about what I can do which nobody has done.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to do that somebody has done, then in a bank, I am following somebody else.
Yes.
So at some stage, I need to get down to me doing something where nobody has done it or people think it cannot be done.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest challenge that I get across, and that kind of nurtured me as I got into the CTO role to say constantly to say what I should do more. So that's a piece of it. Now to your second part of it, what's important? Technical know-how is important. I am not saying that you are going to be master of technology for every suite or every technology that comes into the market. You just can't be. But you need to know the technical know-how, which means that you should know what you need and how do you want to get it.
Absolutely.
You may not code, but just short of code, you should know everything.
Absolutely.
But all the more important is domain. The industry trends, not just your bank, not just your application knowledge, but the industry trends are very important for you to get into the role of CTO, because after this, nobody's going to question you. Nobody's going to guide you what to do.
Yes.
Bank depends on you. What you do is what bank gets.
Absolutely.
That's the responsibility that we need to carry in this.
Absolutely. And one thought popped up, Prasad. This was interview with Saraswati Ramachandran. She is the MD for Lightcast, and Nidhi was actually co-hosting that. So we were discussing late 90s is when GE HSBC came, and Infosys and such were already there. But over a period of 25 to 30 years, right, this delivery excellence, we actually become experts in delivery. So client gives you 100% SLA, we go beyond that, impress. Correct. Over a period of 30 years, we have mastered that. Now, coming to the GCC, GCC means innovation to an extent, something which you touched upon. How is someone who is a developer back in early 90s, who is now the CTO or the senior vice president, how can they actually suddenly change the mindset from a delivery excellence to an innovation mindset, according to you?
Yeah, so like I told you, right, that nurturing is very important. Technical excellence, you get delivery excellence, then you learn the domain, then you start learning the industry trends.
Yes.
And that's when you become what you can give it back to the organization or the bank. So, HSBC is in India from 2001, and Wells Fargo was in India from 2007. So practically they are the early adopters for the GCCs, and the talent has been much more matured in these organizations as of now, if you see it. Lot of the I don't even want to call any more parent and child organization. The organization looks at the India team in a lot more innovative way, and what value add that can be gotten. Excellent. So here in HSBC, one of the things that we constantly do is that we have an application running. We run in 60 countries. Now, what more can we do so that we are unique compared to other banks? That constant question to us and by us to the teams kind of takes us forward, because you just can't keep running GCCs in the same way that you have been running 10, 15 years back. You have to change. You have to start becoming ownership. You start taking global roles from India. So as part of this role, I am the global lead to drive data modernization and make sure that the UK delivery, the UK region delivery happens appropriately. So that's my global role, and I also lead the India team. So that's kind of roles that we start playing in GCC. That's what triggers you to do things, and these kind of opportunities you don't get anywhere else.
Absolutely.
And that's why GCC becomes attractive to people.
Absolutely, Prasad. So moving to data modernization and resilience at scale, Prasad, a couple of questions. What does data mesh mean in practical terms for a global bank like HSBC, and how do you balance legacy systems with the push for real-time intelligence, according to you?
Good question. So let me try to give it in very simple terms. Sure. Let me avoid technical jargon in this. So if you look at a mesh, simple mesh, when you see it has horizontal threads and vertical threads. That's a mesh. It's in simple terms. Okay. So now what is data mesh? If you look at a bank like HSBC, any global bank, let me rephrase it. If you look at any global bank, you address multiple countries, you address multiple regions. You also address multiple domains.
Yeah.
So you have a retail domain, you have a wholesale domain, you have wealth domain, you have securities domain, you have investment domain. Sometimes a customer can be in multiple domains.
Yeah.
A customer can be a retail customer. Plus, if he has a company, he may be a corporate customer. If he has good money, he will be a wealth customer, and you will see. So these domains are independent by itself from the privacy standpoint. But at the same time, there are customers who cut across, there are regions and countries who cut across. So this becomes important, and that's how that's the input of how we design it. So especially from a bank standpoint, what we do is we look at domain as a unit, because even in the past, each domain is independent, which means the systems are built independently. So the retail system is a retail system, wholesale is a wholesale system. So these are built independently.
Sure.
What we do is we extract the data from this, the analytical data, not operational data, the analytical data, and build our warehouses. Different terminology, you can call it data warehouse, you can call it data lake, and whatever it is, but it's the entire data that sits there for the domain.
Sure.
Then you build data marts or data pipelines, depending on from which background you come from. These gets built horizontally. So which means that when I report to a regulator, so for me, who will be my customers? Regulators will be my customers. Large customers will be to see his consolidated view. So when we go to a bank, we will say, give me my full consolidated relationship with you. Yeah, which cuts across the things, right? And the region. So when I go to any regulator, RBI in India, he'll come back and say, tell me everything that you do across the board. And how do you cut across things, and how do you make sure that leakages are not happening? And somebody who is a good retail and has something else in wholesale, how do you mark them together and then put it? Yeah. That becomes my horizontal cut, which I build data marts for the specific needs. Right. These horizontals will not be my golden source of data. Golden source of data is my data warehouses and lakes, which are in the verticals. Yeah. These will become my top layers, which users use it. So my customer experience, my data protection. So these are the two ways I look at the whole mesh. Customer layer always picks up from wherever they want to pick up and then go there. The building of the things are the golden sources of data, where you shouldn't go anywhere in the bank, but to here and then build it. So that's how the data mesh gets built, especially for banks like us, which have multiple regions. These are very important because regional data warehouse or data mart you want to call becomes an horizontal to me. Right. That won't be vertical, so that it won't store golden source data. But the vertical data stores that I build, retail data store, wholesale data store, this becomes my golden source, and the regions becomes my horizontal. And that's how we build the thing. It becomes easy for us to go. If I add a new country, all I have to do is build one more layer of it, and then I'm done with it. I don't need to disturb anything in my data warehouses or data marts for different regions. Absolutely. So it becomes very easy for us to build it. And adding regions or removing regions, if they sell out a region in the bank, then also it's easy for us to do. And that's kind of flexibility we want to keep it, and that's how we build the data mesh. Sure. Now coming to your second part, from a legacy systems and the new, and I think I'll touch upon again what I connected here, but in general, from an application standpoint, the core of our systems, these banks, so Wells or HSBC, these are 150-year-old banks, and there are multiple banks like that, even in India also. The data is immense. The legacy is immense. The applications they have built will be probably, some of them would be 40, 50 years old also. Yeah. You don't replace every 10 years, then, it becomes a liability to you than an asset, the technology. So you don't change them. So the legacy systems becomes the core nerve of our bank. So most of the places, the core banking sits in the legacy system because it's a workhorse that we need to build it, and that's how we do it. But as we get millennials, as we get Gen Z into the market and they become our customers,
Mm.
their experience expectations would be very different from baby boomers or Gen X and Gen Y.
Yes.
These needs to be considered into picture, and that's where we build the new tools and technologies integrated into our legacy systems. Our legacy systems doesn't change; they go, and over a period of time, we will change. Again,
Mm.
the size of the banks matter. If it's a smaller bank, it's easy for you to shift to the newer technology because you can experiment.
Yeah.
The older banks, you don't want to experiment until the systems get stabilized. So if you take a cloud,
Mm.
cloud has to be completely stabilized, proven before a big bank can shift to cloud.
Yeah.
But a small bank can experiment it.
Mm.
So legacy systems still a very important part of our entire scope and portfolio.
Mm.
But the newer technologies and the new ones are the ones that we use it for the customer experience to make sure that we are at par from looking at what we need to do, and also the analytics that are coming up, or now the Gen AI,
Mm.
the famous, the interesting topic for everybody, the Gen AI, the AI models. These becomes integrated part of our system portfolios so that we can do analysis of the data that's sitting in our legacy systems. And that's how we build both of them, and they coexist. They will coexist even going forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Prasad. Now, coming to startups, GCCs, and open innovation, Prasad, a couple of questions around how do you see GCCs collaborating meaningfully with startups without becoming extractive? And can you share a story or stories where a startup partnership truly shifted the needle?
Yes. See, the banks are large. If I have to get one tool or one application into the bank, I will have probably 10 or 15 checkpoints.
Right.
These should not be considered as bureaucracy. What I see is, junior developers, when they look at it and say, no, this is a lot of bureaucracy in the large bank. No, it's not bureaucracy. At some stage, protecting your assets is also as important as building a new asset.
Yeah.
So that protection becomes very big, and especially with the banks, which are more than 100 years, their legacy is so large that your protection becomes very high. And that's why we have these toll gates, and that should remain. What that makes you is, it makes you cautious. So people from GCCs are more cautious in their approach to solutions or applications, while the startups, they are the aggressive phase.
Yeah.
They go build the new applications. For them, it's like, I'll experiment a new solution. If it fails, I'll improve it, or I'll go do something else, and I'll pivot into some other better application and do it till I get succeed. But who will be part of these failures is the question mark, right? So which they will do. So it's very important that these two have to collaborate. They are complementary to each other. They just can't eat into one another. A small startup cannot try to beat a large bank in their space. Similarly, a large bank cannot be as nimble as a startup in trying to build new applications.
Yes.
So the collaboration is very important for us to look at it. Startup comes with a lot more technical expertise. But individuals may have some domain expertise, but that's more of an individual. The startup will always be coming up with a technical solution, right? The banks or the GCCs will have the domain knowledge. That marriage, if it can be managed well, does wonders to the bank. That's how I look at it. So we benefited a lot looking at that. For that matter, again, both Wells and GCCs, we always have a innovation and ventures arm in the bank that's mainly focused to groom innovators inside and external, who are working on solutions that are our problem statements, and also invest in those startups who match our vision. And go for it. So that's how all of them do it. Now, coming back to specific examples that you are asking, I'll give two examples where we did some experimentation last couple of years. we work closely with T-Hub, in Hyderabad, because they are the largest startup incubators, and we also work with academia. IIT Bombay is one, and IIIT Hyderabad are one. We work with them from a research and startup standpoint, but let's stick to startup on this one. So we work with T-Hub to understand what kind of startups are there from a banking fintech perspective. And sometimes we go deep into it to say deep tech and cyber, what kind of startups do you have? Because sometimes those are important to me also.
Right.
And last year, what we did was we did something of a hackathon for startups. Not many people do, but we wanted to do that. We want to do this hackathon to startups to say that these are the 5 areas where we as a bank are focused. If you are in the 5 areas, you think you can make a difference to us. Tell us how and why. So we have seen really good startups who came and pitched, but we kind of liked 2 of them. And I don't mind giving their names. OnFinance.ai is one, and MaxPay is one. These are the 2 startups which came to finals, and then we started working with them also after that. And uniquely, what I will say is OnFinance is a company that brings all the regulatory notices into one place. Right. Trust me, that's the greatest asset we can have, because we have to deal with RBI, we have to deal with SEBI in India and other regulators, finance ministry and all. While in other countries, there will be similar things. Yeah. And each of these regulators will keep sending notices to the banks. Some of them are FYI, some of them are FIA, action or information. And we need to make sure we gather them. And sometimes some of the information notices that addendums comes after 4 or 5 months, which means that I need to remember what notice I got 5 months back. Yeah. Was it an FYI or A? And what changed now with this addendum? And how do I link them to make sure I respond back? Yeah. And then these regulators come back and say, in 6 months, give us this information, or in 12 months, give us this information, or in 18 months, change your systems. This is how it should be. Right. So what OnFinance did was bring all of them together, and when there is an addendum, they marry it with the old notice and pull it to us to say that this is what your actions to be, and becomes a project management tool after that. And if we responded back, it tracks a response to say that you responded this 6 months back, and there is a extra information needed came up. You might want to add the extra information, only send it. Here was your old response. Wow. So that's kind of what they did it, which is really good for us, for the banks. So we pursued them and then started working on that. And there were a couple of other competitors also in the same space, and then we picked one of them and then started going forward. Sure. That's one area, where it really worked for us, right? Because we don't want to invest in a regulator in India, because then I have to invest in 60 other countries. Correct. Yes. Same thing. So one shot, they will get it to me. Yeah. Similarly, another one, MaxPay, they work in the priority sector lending. They are the ones. So to give you, again, this is a banking jargon. Sure. To give you information, we lend to companies, right? Who does it? We do agriculture lending, we do mortgage lending, we do machinery finance, all of them, asset-backed finance and all these things. Now, every bank loves to stay in metros and give it to customers, and then we make good money in that and that stuff. Yeah. But what happens to the rural economy? Who goes to the villages in India and then gives them the loans? Sometimes because it's unstudied environment, so we don't know what happens to that. It's not like they give it or they don't give. They might be much more better than some of the customers in the metro side, but we don't know. Yeah. Right. So the Indian government said that that's a priority sector. You go to villages, tier 3 towns, you lend them to develop the ecosystem there and the industry is there. That's a priority sector. Right. And what we said is that the bank should have X percentage in priority sector before you can loan to others. So somebody cannot just sit back and say, what, I'll just give all loans to big industrial houses in metros and I'm done. No, your book cannot be that way. Your book has to have a share of priority sector lending. So this company, this startup, looks at the priority sector customers and they start looking at their needs, and they go back to a bank to connect them to say that here is a customer who wants to look at it. We did all the homework.
Right.
You give them the lending, and we will take the responsibility of servicing them, or you want to service them, you can service them. So that's kind of what they do it. And that's kind of really extension arm for the large banks into the areas where we may not go.
Yeah.
So it really benefits us, right? Because our book improves very well with just a simple partnership with these kind of startups.
Yeah.
And they will even expose us to the customers in the rural areas who are a lot more genuine because they have already worked with them.
Yeah.
So I'm assured of these things. And that's kind of the startup that they have done. And we really liked it because, that's a very important element for us, our lending book. So we started working with them and then did that. So again, in the same area, we have a couple of startups and we work through that. Now, why I'm giving these two examples is I don't think as a bank, I will invest so much in those kind of smaller areas, but which are important for me as a bank to grow, which is where startups comes into picture because they are niche. They are just one point that they do. And that point is important to me in my whole picture.
Absolutely.
And I pick that up. So that's how we work it. And that's how, again, I come back to my original sentence to say that the large GCCs and startups are complementary to each other. They have to work together so that one helps the other to grow.
Absolutely, Prasad. Lovely. A lot of insights there. I think a lot of people would love to hear your advice there, Prasad. Thank you for that. Bridging technology and talent is the next theme. And a couple of questions around how have you built and retained top data talent in a competitive market like India? And how do you groom data leaders who think beyond code, Prasad?
Yeah. So I think this is a standard question in many places, and there'll be a standard answer. It's always an age-old solution. Give them the opportunities. Employees don't work for only money. Let me put it that way.
Sure.
Money is an important element.
Yeah.
But customers always sees, am I valued in the company, in the organization?
Right.
And am I doing the work where is the need of the bank, of the organization? And that's what people see it, because then you are recognized for the work you do, and you see the output of what's the benefit the organization got of what you are working, and that satisfaction keeps you going, right? So for me, the way I look at it is, my philosophy is simple. Train your team members in such a way that the entire industry is eager to pull them, and they are marketable in the market easily, but give them opportunities enough that they don't want to leave you.
Very
true. So that's the philosophy I follow. Sure. Train them enough, because I always see sometimes people say, if I train them in the latest technology, what happens? What happens? He'll become ready for you to deliver in the new technology.
Absolutely.
That's how we should look at it.
Yeah.
Train them enough that they can walk out any day, but give them opportunities enough that they don't want to walk out.
Absolutely.
And it works. GCCs, especially GCCs, we have a great opportunity because we own. And mature GCCs like ours, we are the owners of the platforms. We are the owners of the application. So we think what we want to do new. And that's kind of a great adrenaline to our developers. And we see not many people move. And in fact, if I want to give a number, we are always in the mid single digit in our attrition. And I'm proud to say that, it's difficult in Indian market to keep it even in a single digit, but we are somewhere in the middle of single digit, 6 to 7% kind of what our attrition is. And that's a great thing.
Excellent.
So that's how we follow simple things, right? Now, coming back to your data thing, what I observed is that the data space is a unique thing in any of these organizations. Data space is a place where you need to have the technology expertise, like any technology. But you all should know the domain. If you don't know the domain, your stories go wrong.
Yeah.
Data is all about storytelling.
Correct.
So if somebody wants to grow as a data leader, you should be a great storyteller. And I'm not saying when you are a storyteller, you paint a picture. No, you don't paint a picture. You talk reality.
Yeah.
You take the facts
Mhm.
and you show the mirror to people. It's absolutely as truthful as that can be.
Yeah.
But that's very important. You should know which mirror to use.
Yes.
Because if you use few mirrors, the picture don't look good, and few mirrors pictures look good.
Yes.
You should know which mirror to use to keep it realistic. That's very important.
Yeah.
It's like, a decade back, people said data is the new oil.
Yeah.
I don't know if the oil still continues or not, but data is a crux of everything that we go forward and see, because the AI, the Gen AI, whatever we are talking, is all based on data.
Correct.
If your data is wrong, your conclusions are wrong.
Yes.
Completely go haywire. If your data is right, your stories are right.
Yeah.
So that aspect of domain and the tech know-how is very important for data professionals to grow, and that's what's make them successful.
Absolutely, Prasad. Thank you. I think recently, just a week back, I was doing this podcast with Ravi Shankar Iyer, IIM guy, and fantastic. Just like you said, right? I mean, storytelling in the right way and putting data also in a way which is creative, innovative, at the same time realistic, as you rightly said. That will actually have an impact as such. So I can connect that. So moving to leadership philosophy and legacy, Prasad, looking back, what's a failure or shift that redefined your leadership? That's one. And what advice would you give young tech professionals navigating from functional roles to strategic impact?
Yeah. See, failures is a very tricky question. Depends on how I look at it. Yeah. If you ask me how many failures I have, I don't know. I can't count them. There are projects which we just failed. It just didn't work. The program didn't work and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if I have to look at it very specifically, if I combine them together as a group, a couple of years of how it went by and all that stuff, what I realized is that while I gained a lot of technical knowledge, in Infosys, if I start with Infosys, right, I started as a developer, then I became a business analyst for some time. So to sit with the customer, understand their problems, design their solutions, and do it. And that I loved.
Yeah.
Right. But then what happens is, we always shift customers. Sometimes we shift domains.
Yes.
And when you shift domains, what happens is you're still master of solutioning.
Yeah.
But you are not master of the domain or the industry trends. That kinds of, puts you in that place. And that's a weakness I was struggling myself to say, what, if I want to be designing solutions to a customer, I am handicapped. I am only doing what they want. I should actually tell them what they should have, what they need. Yeah. And that kind of made me to shift from service industries to say I should go into GCC kind of setup. And that's when I moved into Wells Fargo, saying, the bank, and I'll stick to bank after that. Yeah. Because now I can tell you in bank, some of the places where there are flaws in the banks, what needs to happen, what solutions we need. We still don't have some of the solutions, but what we need. Yes. So that's kind of what struggle in my mind, however you want to define it, is what made me to say that I want to shift it from there to this side of it. Sure. And then within GCCs also, if you look at it, initially in early 2000s and 2010, probably till 2015, 16, post-COVID, pre-COVID, where we have been a great subsidiary to the parent company. We do fantastic things. We make them feel that we are much better than service companies because we don't change our domain knowledge. After 3 years, we are masters of our domain. After that, they don't even have to tell what to do. They just tell, Prasad, look at this area, and we know what to do. So it became much more beneficial. So everybody started loving it. And I think that's kind of what made the whole Indian GCC system beneficial and successful. And then you work through that. But that also throws a challenge to say, how long you will still be order takers. GCC also has an evolution.
Correct.
Order takers to, seat on the table, to global roles, to driving the direction.
Yes.
Right. So it needs to move. And at some point in time, you need to start looking at global roles. And that's when I got the opportunity in HSBC, because HSBC is also a lot older system. I think it started in 2002. It's that old. So when I was moving into that, the opportunity was, I still continue what I'm doing from an India standpoint. I lead the whole India data analytics team to deliver the solutions. But at the same time, I have a global role where I'm responsible to the customers of the bank to say that how do we drive solutioning to them. So that kind of puts me a lot of challenges to that. So every time there's a lack of the further what we can do is what triggered me to keep looking at it and move into that. So that's kind of what I see of my journey through. Like I said, failures are. I can list some 100, 120 failures, but the trends of how we moved is how we look at it.
Sure.
Now, coming to the other point of what you're saying, how do we look at the systems, or how do we look at our roles in these things, right? What we need to do is we need to make sure our systems are sustainable first. That's one thing we need to learn. Then optimize. How much of systems we optimize, because we are so good in building new applications. We also need to think, how do we retire an application? Today the heroes are the people who can retire an application when they are building a new application.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you reduce the clutter. That's very important. And then obviously come up with new ideas of what you should do, and that's kind of trending that people have to evolve. And that's a mindset that we need to constantly keep. Sustain, optimize, innovate. Again, we can give different meanings and different explanations to that. Sure. But this cycle is important for everybody to say that if they have to sustain in the leadership roles and drive them, these are very important. And you can have one higher, one lower, depending on the maturity of the organization, maturity of the team, and maturity of the leader. Absolutely. But net, this circle of life in the GCCs has to happen, and that's when it will be successful.
Absolutely, Prasad. Thank you. Now, I think we do have a bit more time. I think around 15 minutes now. So I'll take advantage and ask you a couple of more questions. Now, on the thought leadership and intellectual contributions, Prasad, you have published in IEEE conferences and hold patents. So how do you see the role of thought leadership in shaping not just your company, but wider data ecosystem? That's question number one. And for young data professionals, how important is contributing to research and patents alongside corporate work?
Yeah, thank you for looking at it. Now, I have 3 IEEE papers and 2 patents. So that's where I'm looking at it. Now, why it is, right? It's the academic institutes come up with great theories and then come out to say that this is a new way of doing it. Currently, if you look at quantum, is in that phase. Quantum computing is in a phase where the academy has figured out how to build solutions in that, but the industry has to figure it out where to put them.
Yes.
Right. So different aspects will be there, but industry plays a key role as to where to fit them and how to fit them. That becomes important. And that's when the banks take a leap, So if you look at it in 1996, Wells Fargo started their internet banking. It was the first bank in US to start the internet. Others were suspicious about it. The bank said, I'll take the risk because academically it's proven, right? It will go. Similarly, other banks would pick up mobile banking. So somebody will pick it up and then start running and do that innovation. And that's when that particular organization goes up. It has its own sweet spot. It becomes a leader in that. And then again, it depends. The mindset of the company organization continuously to keep them. If you look at an organization like 3M, they always do innovation. They always focus themselves to say that how many new products they have got into the market. which are useful to the customer, not just theoretical products. So it's the mindset of the company that drives them. But the leadership of that company in the industry always comes out with, where are you the leader? And that brings us to this particular point to say that how close are you to the latest things in innovation and how good you can implement them. And like I told you, my IEEE papers, most of them are, how did we implement the latest solutions into the organization for its own growth, not disturbing it as an additional to it. So that's kind of how we work through that. And patents are also important in the same fashion, to say that I need to have something unique that nobody else has. It's like Amazon has one click. It's their unique thing. Now probably people have copied it, similar things or something, but that's how it became famous. So similarly, each of the banks or each of the organizations should have that focus area and do that stuff. And that's how I see the value and importance of the research and things. Now, coming to the second part of, the younger generation, how do they look at it? Again, we always have this standard thing, learning culture is key to any organization. Everybody has to learn all the time. And I completely agree to that point, but I will extend it. Learning is very important. Certifications is very important to prove the point that you learned. Right. But in the same way, like I told you in the previous question, where, we can do fantastic delivery excellence, which means that we do what is asked for. But can we do what they need, but they didn't ask? Similarly here, you do learning, you do certifications, you are learning what is existing, which is important. You should be up to the mark of everything, right? Now, what more can you do? How will you put your own niche area? And that's where that innovative view of thinking, taking risks to say that I will experiment. If it fails, it fails. Now, organizations should have that culture, fail fast, and celebrate failures. I know I'm not saying that if you fail, then be happy and celebrate. No, there's a learning in that. And that's what we mean by celebrate failures. Take learning, improvise it. Don't drop the ball. It just means that don't drop the ball because you are halfway through. Fix it, move forward, get it done. So cross the end line. That's important. So while learning organizations always thrive is important. Along with the learning, keep that research mindset and innovative mindset to move forward. And I think people who are intelligent will get quicker opportunities. People who have a learning mindset will thrive in the long run.
Absolutely.
And that's how I see the whole thing.
Absolutely. I think one example, which I think both of us know, is Dr. Lalit Sanagavarapu.
Yes.
Technology to operations, that's number one. And from operations, he moved to IDRBT and did his PhD. And again, he's back as a head of a cybersecurity firm. So lovely.
Yes.
Moving into the academy, actually doing his PhD, and then having those insights culled into his existing product role is something which we can talk about.
Absolutely. And because you brought up Lalit, I'm saying, he moved from service company to a GCC technology, to a GCC operations, to research in IIIT, to advisor to IDRBT, and working with the regulator in India to come up with a white paper on blockchain. I think he came up with that. Then now he's into a product company driving their cyber. Great journey. That's something that's a mindset that everybody has to develop and move forward.
Absolutely. Let's look at academia, startups, and policy. You work closely with academia and local hubs in Hyderabad. What's your vision for India's data talent pipeline in the next 10 years? That's one. And if we have a bit more time, how can industry, academia, and policy work together to avoid a fragmented ecosystem, Prasad?
Yeah, it's a fairly new area. I would say not many people may agree to it because there are a lot of academic collaborations that many companies do, and they have been doing from the past lot of times and all that stuff. But I would still look at it as a newer area because the academic institutes partnership with organizations to come up with new areas. We are still we don't have too many products in that space. If I have to use it that language terminology to say that these are the 6 products that the industry and academia in India came together and then started working on this. And that's something that we have to work a lot more. Now there is a lot of push from academia also. I have seen a lot of schools coming and showing interest to say that we would like to work together, and we always had that thought process to say that we should work together with academia because developers after 4 or 5 years, there will be few of them who are go-getters, learn themselves new technologies and keep it up to date. But some of them sometimes may not keep up to date with the things because they may be sometimes busy with the project work. We may give them loads of work that they may not know how to learn. That's where academia and partnership is important because we work with academia, these people, to go learn something and then come back and again continue. And that kind of partnership is very important. Sure. We have a close partnership with IIIT or IIT Bombay, and even now, ISB, some of these institutes, we are working closely together in this. We are also looking at to say that they come up with great theoretical solutions. In some areas of our focus areas, we want to be sandbox to test those ideas and see how it works out. Yeah. If it works out, I have my USP. Yeah. If it didn't work out, I have my learnings still in the newer area. So that's kind of how I see that. Startups is very new in India, and it's also a huge area. I don't know how many startups, how they are focused, how clearly they are focused in the areas that organizations would want to look at it. And that's where I would always say, I admire T-Hub of the focus that they have brought into picture. It's one of the first accelerators in India, and it also has a government support, and that's kind of brings you to how does we bring with the government and then bring those policies in place. And that T-Hub is in a very sweet spot from that perspective. They have the connection with academia, they have the connection with startups, they have the connection with government, they have the connection with organizations. You can't ask for anything more. But the working model, it's like people say, right? Devil is in the details. The working model tells how it will become successful. And once they do a lot of curation, and that's why I said, the two startups that we worked with a lot of curation, that T-Hub has helped us out to look at the areas that we want to focus on and pinpoint those companies which are in a sweet spot for us, and their vision matches us. So that's kind of what the curation is important. So these accelerators are very important for the organizations and also the academic. The academia does a research. If there is no organization coming into picture at that point in time, then T-Hubs come into picture to say, let's experiment with this. So the 3 pillars are important. I don't see 1, 2, or any other things will do it. Sure. It's the research, potential experimentation with small solutions, and large implementations and industrializing these solutions. So these 3 elements plays a key role, and that's where I see startup ecosystem is very valuable to the organizations of how they look at it. Government support is key here as to how it makes the working model easy. It's like, again, like I said, in the internally, when we talk about learning organizations, fail fast. Similarly here, when we experiment with these things, sometimes we get into certain issues that needs to be sorted out by different aspects. Some places academia has to step into it, some places government has to step into it, some places accelerators step into it. So these people have to come together to make sure that we have that smooth way of driving it.
Absolutely.
Our partnership with these accelerators are working. And I think our future way, again, if you remember in the beginning, one of your questions, I talked about, these large organizations have these innovation and ventures setups in their things that would have it. Accelerators still play a role because I don't want to spend my time going through hundreds of startups which are in the fintech area. I would want somebody else to curate it to me that these are my goals, these are my problems. Come back to me with a lot more curated startup small list.
Sure.
And if it matches our vision, we would personally work together to make the solution workable and invest if required. So the whole chain, the template is built, the framework is built. How do we work through that is key element.
Absolutely.
None of these large organizations, we would say, again, I can't make a generic statement of none, but within the framework of what I know of, many of the large organizations will think twice to keep coming up with new solutions every 6 months.
Yeah.
If it is a bank, right? End of day, I am a bank. I need to serve my customers rather than coming up with a new technical solution every 6 months.
Yeah.
This is where my startup ecosystem works through, and academia comes back and tells me that these are new things. So if you look at it, we in our company work now on quantum AI. That's our space that we are focused on because areas like KYC, areas like anti-money laundering, we think that these areas are good propositions for quantum AI that we think about. Again, do we have solutions quickly in place now? No, but we would look up to these kind of areas for solutions that we would look at it. So net, that's a collaboration that we would look at it. Government plays a key role, but so as the other three pillars that we build on it.
Absolutely, Prasad. I know there's one question, but I think I'll pull you back again for another podcast in 6 months' time.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Yeah. So, great insights, Prasad. I think this is going to be loved by all the people working professionals, especially the students and the mid managers, and also the MDs of companies, because the length and breadth of the kind of insights you gave actually helps the entire ecosystem. So what did we cover in this particular podcast in terms of the themes? We started with your leadership evolution from delivery head to CTO. We moved to data modernization and resilience at scale. We looked at startups, GCCs, and open innovation. How do we bridge technology and talent, leadership, philosophy, and legacy? We also looked at thought leadership and intellectual contributions and ecosystem building in terms of academia, startups, and policy. So, Prasad, thanks a lot for spending an hour or so this Friday morning. I'm going to pull you back again in 6 months' time. But how was it? And any kind of ideas that you want us also to touch upon? Because Monday Morning Learning Podcast, we're actually getting guests from a different domains as such. Any inputs from you also are most welcome.
No, I think this is a great platform, Ravi. I would say actually you are doing a great job because this is a gap that exists, because I see a lot of people talking, lot of sessions, lot of write-ups and all these things, but podcast is the simplest of all, bringing all of them together and in a crunched fashion of what it is, and that's what people really need. You should do a lot more of this podcast. Also look at interlinking the domains when I don't know how it is, because for all of us, right, learning from another domain itself is a good way of thinking what more we can do in our company.
Absolutely.
Cross industry pollination has to happen, and I think you are in the best place to do that, and best of luck in that. Privileged to be with you. This is great, and I loved it.
Thank you so much, Prasad, and I'll pull you in again, as I said, in 6 months' time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, Ravi. Yeah.
Perfect, sir.